Hi everyone, welcome back to Alumni Answers. I'm here with,
Miriam?
and today is actually a very special episode because we have our graduate that's not from Manalat. So can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, assalamu alaikum. My name is Malik Al-Amri. I'm a fresh graduate from Al-Khandaq.
Okay, so the first question is, how did you end up choosing the major you chose, and why was the college you chose the best choice for you?
So for the major, I had like a list. So every college you can apply to, you have a list of majors you choose. So for me, I had about like three main ones that I wanted, which were mechanical engineering, aerospace engineering, and civil engineering. So I got accepted into civil, alhamdulillah. And it's, it's mainly those three that I wanted, and I'm happy with either one, right? So you have to choose depending on what you like. And for the college, so I applied both here in Saudi and in the US mainly. In the US, it did not go well. I did not get the stuff that I wanted. But alhamdulillah, here I got accepted. It's a KFU PM, and it's the best actually university for STEM in Saudi and in the Middle East. So I'm very happy with this, and I think just look at the university that closely matches your goals.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, it always ends up working out, I feel like. Like even if you
Yeah.
choose it,
Yeah.
it works out eventually. All right, and for the next question, what extracurriculars did you join that helped with your application process?
So it depends on you specifically what you want to do. But for me, right, like in Saudi, if you apply it to colleges here, they do not care about your extracurriculars. They only want to see your grades and that's it. But in the US, like I applied outside in the US, it does actually matter. And I would say like a lot of the Mohiba programs helped me out. And F1 in schools to F1 in schools, one of the main ones probably, because it's such a long program and it's like you gain a lot of experience there.
Yeah, also I
So
feel
what
like
requirements,
commitment
oh,
too. Like the amount of time that you spend over there is like a long time. So,
Yeah, and they want mainly quality over quantity.
yeah, for
mhm.
sure.
We actually talked about that last, was it the first episode? We talked about like students always like being stressed out and choosing like all extracurriculars, like whatever they like find they join, which is not always the best option. So yeah, that's it, I think.
Yeah,
Uh,
even stuff. Sorry, but even stuff like related to what you want to do in the future, right? Like if you want to go be a doctor, don't go into like an engineering extracurricular. It's not gonna help you out because they don't care about that.
Yeah.
so what requirements did you have to meet to get accepted?
So for KFU PM, there's three different tracks, right? You can either take the normal قدرات تحصيلي, or they have an early قدرات تحصيلي, which you can apply to in like January. But I applied through the SAT track, and the only thing they wanted from me was the SAT. You just need to score over 1350, and you have to take their math test too. And that's it. If you get good grades, you're in, inshallah.
Sounds good.
So what are things students should start doing early if they want to get into a top university?
I think personally, I think you should first of all, you should plan out what you want to do. Don't wait until the last second to get everything together. But I think you should focus on extracurriculars if you want to go abroad and essays, specifically for the US. If you want to go to a top 20 in the US, focus on essays. They're very important.
I feel like also for the US, you always need to have like a backup plan. Like you should definitely apply to like the top 20s, but then also if you really want to study abroad, also have options that have like a slightly higher acceptance rate, maybe around 50, because those schools are probably equally as good, maybe a little bit less, but like they're still really good. But it's easier to get in and then you have that backup if you still want to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then the next question, what should students focus on more um should they focus on GPA, GAT, extracurriculars, or is it like something else?
For this, it's like the last question. You should mainly focus on like you should plan out what you want to do first. If you want to study here, you want to study outside. If you want to study in Saudi, focus only on the GAT and the Tahsili. Qudrat Tahsili, that's all you need here. But outside, like there's still more stuff there's more things to consider. Like you have to look at every individual country and their own like rules for it. Because I know in the UK they I don't think a lot of the universities will take the SAT. Like you have to take the A levels, which is their specific exams. So you just have to be prepared for that and know what you want.
Yeah, for the UK universities, I think it's mostly like they want, like, if you don't take the A levels or the O levels or the IGCSEs, they're gonna want some replacement, like advanced placement or like advanced placement combined with an SAT. So always like make sure
Yeah.
you have those requirements in track before you go into your senior year. For example, I know for my major, I was looking at different colleges in the UK and so you need like three APs or like two APs and like a certain score in each one so you can meet
They
the
also like, require like certain courses, like certain classes, like AP classes. They don't just like require like for you to choose the classes. They require certain courses that you have to follow and like a certain score that you need to get. Or I think you take a foundation year instead for UK. And then US is like completely different process. So each country like has their own way of like application and like requirements and all of that.
Yeah, for US, it's mostly like there's no set requirements. They don't tell you what they need. But because a lot of schools have gone test optional too. And then APs are never like a base, but they always like these things help your score like a lot. I'm not your score, like your admission chances, they help it a lot. So it's really important that you have those things if you want to go there. Yeah.
So what was the most challenging part of applying to university?
I think it was just like understanding everything. Because the school I go to, right, like, we were the first batch to graduate. So they're not really used to how the whole system works. They don't know anything about college admissions or especially abroad, right? So I would have to look everything up myself. I wanted to apply to the US. I didn't find out about the Common App until 2 months before deadline. So I had I had no time to do anything. So the essays were all like made in a rush. All the grades, all the inputs and everything I had to give them was all like very messed up. So I think that was my biggest issue. So I think genuinely, if you do want to apply somewhere, even if it's here, if anywhere in the world, like know how the system works.
Yeah,
Honestly, I feel like also relate to that because our school is very, I don't want to say incompetent, but
no, because I feel like it's just about who you approach for these things and when you approach them. Because if you're coming to someone last minute with all these requests that you just found out, it's gonna be so hard for them to fulfill your needs when it's like in the middle of the school year. But like for me, what I did, since I'm gonna be applying to college like this year, like before school ended, I met with someone who I would know like would help me take care of these things and would point me in the direction of who can help me with these things. So our superintendent, Mr. Carl, so I talked to him and he was telling me about like, oh, who in the girls section is in charge of this and who should you go to if you want this and when to ask for rec letters. Also, you need to start asking for those really early because I feel like a lot of seniors that I talked to, they were telling me like, oh, I'm still waiting on my rec letters. I haven't been able to get them. And it's not re it is not really the teacher's fault because you can't just come to her like late notice and then be like, can you make this rec letter for me? And then you also have to give your teachers instructions because like a lot of people here don't know how like to upload the rec letters themselves because it's not like you get the rec letter from them and then you upload it to the system. Especially for I think US universities, you need to you need to give the Common App your teacher's email, and then your teacher will send in your rec letter. So you need to explain that whole process to them, otherwise it's just gonna go like out the door, like not till the end of the year. Yeah. Okay. Next question. What advice would you give to someone in grade 10 or 11 aiming for the same path? I think, is that referring to KFUPM or like just
yeah.
them in
Okay,
general?
let's say someone wants to go to KFUPM. So what would you like give them any advice or any tips?
I'd say there's two early options, right? Which is the SAT and the early Tahsili track. I would say go for those because those are probably the easiest ones to get into. But the normal track, if you apply like around this time, which is what the majority of people are doing, you need at least like a 97% overall, like Qudrat Tahsili and high school grades. It's at least a 97 just to get in, right? Not even your preferred major. But the SAT, they only asked me for over a 1350, which is like reasonable. It's not too crazy, but it's a reasonable score. And if you don't want to do it in English, you have problems with that. The early Tahsili is also like not the hardest thing ever because it's only like the content of grade 10 and 11 for science and everything.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, what about like STEM though? What would you recommend for students going into STEM?
You mean like universities for STEM?
Yeah. And like the whole like extracurriculars and like stuff you should do if you want to get into like a STEM major.
For here, I think KFUPM is like number one choice in the Middle East, like especially. And I think for extracurriculars, right, there aren't many that'll help you out specifically for the application process, but they will help you out like you'll gain experience, you'll gain skills and all that. It'll prepare you further. But I think there's the IBDA competition, right? I know some people in that competition. They've gone to an international level, so the universities in Saudi have come looking for them. So they were in like 11th grade, right? They were supposed to go into 12th grade, but no, the universities took them and they said you're going to skip 12th grade. You're just going to come to us automatically. So
Wow.
if you reach like very high levels like that, yeah, mashallah, so they'll just come looking for you.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And like these IBDA and like Mohiba programs, when should you start like looking for registration deadlines and stuff? I think it's in grade 10, right? Do you have to get into the system around that time or
I think grade
I
9.
there's yeah, I think it's nine because there's a test you have to take. I'm pretty sure it's like a like like they kind of gauge out your abilities. So you take that test and then it opens up a lot of programs for you.
yeah. No, those things are really helpful. I feel like if you're not doing them, you should be doing them. Okay. And yeah, I think that's it then, right? Right, Maria, do you have anything to add?
Yeah. No. Sure, I just like do the outro? Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you so much for listening and stay tuned for next week's episode.